小米手机的系统越做越差，现在都快成病毒库了。就这还有脸做？
这是我的手机，不惧恐怖，这现在都是我的噩梦。当时我手机是自燃了，它直接是从内部开始冒，这个是地面到这里这么高的火花往上冒。
Xiaomi phone system is full of viruses and bugs. MIUI, Xiaomi's heavily customized Android fork, is notorious for being unstable, buggy, and security compromised. Far from smoothing out issues over time, successive MIUI updates often introduce major new problems that degrade the user experience. Xiaomi systems are getting worse and worse. Now they are almost becoming virus repositories. Both my phone and my mom's phone are Xiaomi's, but recently we discovered a very disgusting problem. My mom's phone often has various software ads popping up in the middle of the screen, unable to send messages, make calls, or use normally. Moreover, these ads can't be closed. Even restarting doesn't help, it's simply infected with viruses. These viruses are not just one or two, but a whole class of hundreds or thousands. What's worse, these viruses are supported by Xiaomi systems. They are called Xiaomi Quick Apps. Xiaomi Quick Apps are a core function of Xiaomi's systems and cannot be uninstalled. If you search Xiaomi Quick Apps on any platform or community, the questions under it are all about how to disable this function. A function of the phone system that causes all consumers' first thought to be how to turn it off. I wonder, what is the purpose of this function? Other than providing fertile ground for internet black production, does it serve any other purpose? Moreover, this issue emerged a year ago. Many people complained and reported it on Xiaomi's official community forums, yet it still has not been resolved even today. Or perhaps they simply don't want to fix it. Maybe Xiaomi wanted to create something like WeChat mini programs on their phones, allowing software use without downloading. Updates bring anxiety, not improvements. Rather than eagerly anticipating new features and optimizations, Xiaomi users have learned to dread major MIUI updates. New releases feel like roulette, with an unknown chance of introducing major regressions. This two steps forward, one step back tendency saps confidence in Xiaomi's software quality. Features heavily promoted at launch are sometimes removed on a whim shortly after luring users to purchase new devices. The duplication of bloatware apps further clutters up storage while doing little beyond serving ads. Lack of customization options. MIUI offers limited ability to tweak and customize the user interface without resorting to system-compromising root access modifications. Users are forced to accept Xiaomi's design decisions rather than adapt the OS to their preferences. For those seeking reliability and continuity, MIUI delivers quite the opposite. Xiaomi's negligence towards stability leaves users frustrated as iterative improvements are hampered by MIUI's shaky code foundations. Xiaomi phones are constant exploding. Due to lack of oversight, Xiaomi phones' batteries are prone to exploding. This usually happened when the user charged too long. Of the woman, "This is my phone. I am so frightened. This has now become my nightmare." At that time, my mobile phone spontaneously combusted. It started burning directly from the inside. The sparks were so high from the ground up to here, they shot up. It felt like the sensation when we set off fireworks for New Year's. It directly pierced my face. My face still hurts a little now. Then my hand was directly burned and huge smoke was created. My mind was in a disarray. If I didn't wake up, then no one can tell what problems would have arisen in the entire building. The interviewer: "Did you test your phone for safety before?" The woman: "Yes, I took the phone over one morning and asked them to check it, and they said, there is indeed something wrong with it, but my warranty has expired. It is not a matter of whether it has expired or not, but that you sold it to me like this." The mobile phone did not say that it had expired or caught fire. The person we sent for repair said it was caused by charging Xiaomi's company is irresponsible. They said go and sue them, and then Xiaomi pays for compensation. Of course, Xiaomi is backed by the CCP, so that will never happen. And because of that, Xiaomi exploding batteries will continue to happen. Hardware, shoddy components, and lax oversight. In its drive to achieve scale and keep costs down, Xiaomi has flooded the market with devices plagued by premature failures, manufacturing defects, and subpar components. Issues like ghost touch malfunctions, overheating, blurred cameras, and unresponsive fingerprint readers have become common. Display defects. Problems like watermark and touchscreen dead zones consistently crop up within months of purchase. Rather than anomalies, these have become expected defects as quality control standards slip, devices roll off assembly lines without thorough inspection, resulting in fundamentally unreliable products. Image quality issues. Cameras are among the most heavily marketed features, yet turn out mediocre images marred by a litany of defects like foggy lenses, lens flare, autofocus failures, and defective stabilization. Rather than premium shooting experiences, users are left with embarrassing photographs. The systemic hardware issues point clearly to Xiaomi cutting corners. Reliability and longevity are sacrificed by using inferior components vulnerable to early failure. Units are pushed out without proper vetting just to meet shipment targets. The company relies on tight return windows to mask latent defects. Privacy risks. What is Xiaomi doing with user data? Xiaomi's data collection practices and close cooperation with Chinese authorities raise profoundly troubling privacy concerns. The MIUI operating system includes numerous tracking and surveillance functions with unclear purpose and inadequate safeguards. Evidence indicates Xiaomi freely shares private user information with the Chinese government and security agencies, skirting ethical norms. The company appears to prioritize state interests over user rights. MIUI's closed source code. With MIUI's code closed off from inspection, there is no way to audit data transmission and protect privacy. Xiaomi's assurances ring hollow when all evidence points to systematic harvesting of personal information with or without user consent. The company has been caught covertly transmitting browsing data, contacts, photos, and other sensitive information. There are strong incentives to continue such unethical practices in secret. These to Chinese authorities, Xiaomi is ultimately helpless to resist Chinese authorities' demands for private user data. Under the country's national intelligence law and draconian cybersecurity rules, the company has actively assisted government censorship and surveillance efforts. Xiaomi is reported to have worked closely with public security bureaus to build out network monitoring systems. Its position under Chinese law means user data will always be subordinate to state interests. Ongoing research concerns. Cybersecurity researchers worldwide have repeatedly unearthed Xiaomi devices transmitting personal data without disclosure or consent. User location, device IDs, browsing history, and other information has been found to be harvested and transferred to remote servers. These behaviors point to systematic data collection infrastructures operating without regard for user privacy. Despite public backlash over such revelations, Xiaomi has failed to address core criticisms about excessive data gathering. After-sales service, the outsourcing maze. When inevitable hardware defects surface post-purchase, Xiaomi's detached approach leaves customers frustrated and powerless. The reliance on third-party service partners allows the company to evade accountability for shoddy repairs and non-existent parts availability. No first-party support. Unlike other major brands, Xiaomi operates no first-party service centers. Technical support and repairs are entirely outsourced, depriving users of direct warranty coverage. This structure cuts costs substantially but severely degrades customer experience when issues arise. Unaccountable partners. Authorized service centers have little obligation to Xiaomi for their terrible service quality and lack of components needed for proper repairs. Faulty units can remain stuck for weeks while customers plead unsuccessfully for resolution. The decentralized structure means aggrieved buyers have no channel to escalate concerns to Xiaomi management. Consumers bear the costs of dysfunction. rushed, low-quality repairs. When repairs do happen, technicians often swap components hastily without full testing just to close cases. Some even break other parts like the phone display in the process due to negligence. There are near-zero checks and balances. Lack of parts. Components like batteries and charging ports are routinely out of stock, delaying repairs indefinitely. Xiaomi's focus on pushing new sales over supporting older devices means spare parts inventory is an afterthought. This leaves many users stranded. Software updates, fragmentation, and confusion. Xiaomi trails behind leading brands in issuing major Android OS updates. Even premium devices routinely receive updates several months late. On budget Redmi models, users often wait over 6 months longer than Samsung's equivalents. The delayed updates also have shorter support lifetimes. Most Xiaomi phones get 2 years of RS updates and just one major MIUI version update. Combined with opaque versioning, this breeds confusion on whether devices are truly up to date. Fragmented update rollouts. New MIUI releases are fragmented across models, with some waiting months for additions featured on other devices. There is little clarity on what users are actually missing out on and when lacking features will arrive. Xiaomi's haphazard update practices foster device disparities and user uncertainty over whether they bought a dude. Planned obsolescence kicks in after just 2-3 years as software support winds down prematurely. Supply chain and production. The perils of over-centralization. Xiaomi's reliance on concentrated Chinese manufacturing and component suppliers proved disastrous when political tensions created massive supply shocks. Meanwhile, rivals with diversified, resilient supply chains avoided the worst disruptions. The crisis highlighted the pitfalls of Xiaomi's pursuit of scale over resilience, while supply chain concentration yielded cost savings initially. The gains were dwarfed by lost sales when production stalled. Excessive concentration of factories, with over 90% of manufacturing confined to China, Xiaomi was unable to circumvent shutdowns and shortages. Competitors like Samsung, Apple, and Oppo maintained output through global factory networks. Xiaomi admitted it lacked the capacity buffer to handle disruption. Reliance on Chinese component vendors. Overdependence on Chinese suppliers for processors, displays, cameras, and other critical parts left Xiaomi scrambling as rivals tapped alternate sources. The company lost billions in sales amid shortages, showcasing the dangers of supply chain inflexibility. Reactive, not proactive. Rather than stress testing its supply chain, Xiaomi relied on lean, cost-focused sourcing that crumbled under adversity. The company failed to identify and mitigate geographic and geopolitical risks proactively. The facade of agility disintegrated rapidly under real-world conditions. Resale value. Demand drag for used devices. The Xiaomi brand lacks prestige and evokes quality concerns that manifest in weak demand for used devices. Handsets shed value rapidly after launch compared to Apple and Samsung. Outdated software, missing features, and perceived reputation gap create cascading price erosion. Phones from other brands hold value better. On secondary markets, equivalent generation iPhones and Samsung Galaxies retain significantly higher prices owing to better build quality, brand allure, and software support. Xiaomi models released at the same time plunge in value within months. MIUI fragmentation hurts resale value. With MIUI updates differing across models, used buyers face uncertainty on whether phones will get software features released after initial launch. This accelerates depreciation as older units feel obsolete sooner despite hardware similarities. Marketing. Bold claims without substance. Xiaomi's marketing efforts rely heavily on sleek advertising, celebrity endorsements, and specification sheets rather than highlighting real-world user experience. The dramatic marketing materials promote fantasy scenarios that fail to match mundane realities. Unrealistic depiction. Demo videos show MIUI as smooth, stylish, and polished while practical usage reveals instability and roughness. Xiaomi promotes capabilities that only work under limited conditions unlikely in normal usage. Specifications without optimizations. Xiaomi shouts about processor cores, RAM, and megapixels while ignoring how poorly my UI is optimized to leverage that hardware. Phones with excellent benchmarks deliver mediocre real-world performance, unlike iOS or One UI. Confusing fragmented messaging. The differences in my UI versions and features across models lead to confused messaging on what capabilities buyers actually get. Marketing hypes certain additions that are missing for months on some devices. Rather than transparency on trade-offs made to achieve low prices, Xiaomi's advertising whitewashes obvious downsides of my UI's quality and hardware durability. The resulting dissonance leaves enthusiasts disappointed. No recourse for exploited consumers. Even conscientious buyers find it near impossible to avoid exposure to Xiaomi's cavalier attitude toward users. The company undermines competition through cutthroat pricing of rebranded, lower-quality alternatives to rivals' offerings. Lack of influential critics and China's information controls prevent meaningful scrutiny. Users cannot effectively vote with their wallets when alternatives get systematically degraded and diminished. Leveraging scale over quality. By leveraging production volume, Xiaomi is able to sell hastily assembled replicas of premium handsets from Apple and Samsung at lower prices but worse user experience. This exploitatively strips down consumer choice. No accountability in China. Within mainland China, users have little recourse as censors quash criticisms and promote state-affiliated corporations like Xiaomi. The degrading of quality faces few checks as alternatives vanish from the Chinese market over time. The cycle of mediocrity continues. In the absence of meaningful accountability, product quality keeps deteriorating while user rights are disregarded. But the relentless cycle of hype and frustration persists unchecked. My UI's glaring software flaws remain unresolved for years, trapping users in a state of learned helplessness. Opposing the pattern of exploitation seems fruitless when there is no escape. Seeking truly premium experiences may require unsustainably higher price points, nullifying Xiaomi's positioning. The facade of affordable innovation has long given way to profiteering built on customer dissatisfaction. Breaking this exploitative cycle appears nearly impossible when its roots lie so deep within Xiaomi's culture and business model. Users are forced to abandon hope of change and accept my UI's pitfalls as the perpetual status quo.